Springfield's Talk 1041. Hello, good morning. It's a Wednesday, everyone. My name is Nick Reed. Streaming live, KSGF.com. I got the app. We got all that stuff, all that kit and caboodle. Anything you miss, iTunes, Spotify, and we are on YouTube Live. We had, I'm sure you saw this, or those who missed it yesterday, we had a Canadian on from Canada, a friend of ours that we met on our most recent Great Escape, and it was right after the election, and so he was a young Canadian that once was a liberal, but as he started paying attention, realized as a person who had supported and voted for Trudeau, what a train wreck he was, and came to admire Trump, and that was sort of his journey, and with great interest, he and other Canadians have been watching Trump, and so we were just getting his take on things, and just sort of an interesting conversation there, his perspective up there, and we learned that when what you sent him, was it through Facebook Messenger? Did you see all that, Sarah?
Yes, I
When
did.
you sit, was it through Facebook? Because he asked for a link.
Yeah, he asked to get a link to our podcast, and so he ended up going to our social media so he could follow us, and turns out you can't do that.
Yeah, in Canada, they blocked it.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "This is what it's like in Canada under Trudeau."
It says people in Canada can't see this content. In response to Canadian government legislation, news content can't be viewed in Canada.
So I didn't really much of a response, other than I don't even remember if I did respond about that. But nonetheless, I was thinking, well, we quit streaming live on Facebook under the Biden administration because we kept getting booted.
Yeah.
So and man, are we seeing the left respond to the ability of people to freely speak. Part of the hysterics that we're watching, and man, were they on display yesterday. We've got some audio. They have gone full-blown crazy. Screaming, yelling. They are once again calling on their supporters to get out into the streets, to take the fight to people with whom they disagree, to lock up, to put in prison political opposition. They keep saying Elon Musk is breaking all these laws, but yet they haven't mentioned a single law that he's broken.
It's a coup.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's like, well, he wasn't elected. Name for me a Joe Biden advisor that was elected. Name for me a Barack Obama advisor that was elected. They're never elected. They're advisors. This isn't new. Any and every time you see the president and he's surrounded by all of his cabinet picks and all, none of those people are elected. That's how it works. You have staff. You have advisors. You appoint people to different positions. That idiot, Elizabeth Warren, thank goodness these people are on the Democrat side. I swear Democrats are on a mission to make people believe that women politicians are stupid, because every female politician on their side that they put forth it's just they scream stupidity. And she's going on, there wasn't a single Republican that voted for Elon Musk. There wasn't a single Democrat. He didn't get a single vote. Of course, my first thought was, for the primary, Kamala didn't either, but you all just you made her your president. Yeah, of course that's different, right? But advisors are never elected. These are, yes, that is correct, wasn't elected. None of the staffers for members of Congress are not elected. The people, newsflash, the people who tell Elizabeth Warren, this is how you want to vote on this legislation, this is how you're going to want to vote on that legislation, those people aren't elected either. Most legislation, particularly that it's not real high profile, they have staffers to tell them how to vote. Now, they don't tell them how to vote because, well, it shouldn't be. It may vary from office to office based off the personal political preference of that individual, but they know where it is that their member that they work for stands on particular issues, and some of them are going to be obvious, and it's more about figuring out things you can cherry pick in order to criticize certain legislation. But none of these people who direct members of Congress how to vote for something, those aren't elected individuals. there's this attempt to try and figure out really, like, what are they thinking? What is going on with the Democrats right now? Much of what we're seeing is a political party that is chaotic because they are not able to censor any longer. They spent the last several years with the ability to censor information they did not want people to know about. They were able to censor information regarding COVID. They were able to censor information regarding corruption within the Biden administration, the Hunter laptop, obviously, one of the more high-profile instances. None of this is secret. The administration went to the Supreme Court arguing that they had the right to censor American free speech. They haven't denied, they weren't denying it. They argued, yes, we should be able to do it. And what has occurred is a number of different things. Elon Musk coming along, and one of the most powerful social media tools that the left had been able to censor when Elon Musk, he didn't purchase it because, there is, all of this censorship going on. But, he didn't, there was a sense, obviously it was known, but it was once he got in there that he really realized how bad it was. And he said, this is going to stop. Once he saw to what degree the censorship was headed, and he said, this is not going to occur any longer. And it couldn't have happened at a worse time for the Democrats because it was during an election, and they had very successfully utilized their power in government and their relationships with all of these uber wealthy individuals that control social media, Mark Zuckerberg, obviously one of them, in order to suppress free speech for the purposes of helping Joe Biden get elected. Well, they lost control of that because of, the free market system, and you had, in a liberty-minded way, an individual, Elon Musk, who purchased Twitter, say, we're going to not censor people in order to alter the outcome of an election. We're just going to let people share news stories, information that they want to. Then, and at the time, at the same time, just the devastating results of the previous administration. It was really a perfect storm created by the Democrats. Then, of course, the overwhelming win of Trump. Then you have some of these other social media sites like Zuckerberg and others that are like, okay, we're going to stop censoring as well. Now, some of it may be for their own self-preservation, but whatever the reason, the Democrats are now in this world where they have found themselves unable to silence political opposition. And so what is occurring is this information is getting out there. So not only is the Trump administration, with the help of advisors, Donald Trump, people like Elon Musk, learning about the horrific and, frankly, immoral ways that our tax dollars have been spent in a very shadowy way, hidden from us. And by the way, hidden from Congress as well. Not only is that information being discovered, but they're letting all of us know about it. And they're utilizing social media in order to let us know. This is it is the most transparency that we have seen in government, specifically on a federal level, probably in our lifetimes. It really is. It is cleaning out of the closet. It's all of the dirty secrets. Not all of them, but what we're learning about a lot of these dirty secrets. How it is that our money is used to be spread around to these different organizations that, of course, in turn, reward the politicians with, efforts to get them reelected. It's all a giant scam. And the reason that the Democrats in particular are in panic, and I'm not saying that there aren't Republicans that have benefited from this system as well. I think you see that in the Mitch McConnell's and these other Republicans that just cannot stand Donald Trump. And it's because, while they directly may not be implicated, the gig is up for them, or they're afraid it's up for them as well, because this has been a very lucrative way for so many of these corrupt individuals that are entrenched in the Washington, D.C. way to seal their power and to reward the people who help them do it with our tax dollars while keeping it completely covered up. And Trump he's just blowing the lid off of all of this stuff. This is the taxpayer theft version of, when Trump he signs an executive order to release the files on, JFK and Martin Luther King Jr. and, when he's signing these orders to reveal for the first time this information. The spending of these U.S. dollars, and there's been a lot of focus on U.S. aid. It's that version of it. It's the taxpayer spending version of exposing the corruption. And this is one of the reasons they're in full-blown panic mode. Now, the other political component to it, of course, is the fact that it's what the American people want, and they're afraid that the American people are going to respond positively to, once again, Trump following through on something that he said he was going to do and opening the eyes up. You've got Stephen A. Smith, the left-wing guy from ESPN, saying, hey, wait, let's not jump all over Trump yet. There may be some interesting stuff in here. So what they're really afraid that already their eroding base is going to see a lot of this and go, wait a minute. This is bad. And that they're going to lose even more power. And I mean, the hysterics are on full display. We've got a lot of that audio, fantastic audio yesterday. I'm telling you, America is back. And when you see, there were two different press conferences, one formal, one more informal, with Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump yesterday, just straightforward to the point. Trump said, the headline yesterday, I could tell you now, Trump he's an imperialist and he wants to buy Gaza. He says that we're going to buy it and we're going to own it. Now, my first instinct, though it may be incorrect, is when he was talking about owning Gaza, what he was talking about is we're going to have a hand in this, and we're going to take responsibility to a large degree of what happens in that region of the world. Some people may disagree with that, claim that we shouldn't have anything to do with it, but I didn't, this was just me, could be wrong, think of it as he was saying this is going to be some sort of real estate transaction where we will literally own it. But, when you're responsible for something, you say, you own this. You got yourself involved, and the outcome of this is yours. You own this, and that was my interpretation when Trump was saying we're going to get in there, we're going to do this, and we're going to own what goes on there. We're going to own Gaza. That's how I perceive. Time will tell, and you're going to have a number of interpretations about it. But it was out of left field, just the level of involvement he indicated that the United States was going to have when it came to whether it's the rebuilding of Gaza or whatever form it's in. So anyway, much to discuss today. Don't forget, Friday we have a happy hour at Retro Metro. It'll be our first one of the year. I realize that.
Yeah.
So we'd love for you to come out and join us 4 to 6 at Retro Metro Friday. All right, latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see showers mainly before 9 a.m. and then cloudy with a high near 55. Tonight a 30% chance of showers, and that'll happen about 10 p.m., and then patchy fog before midnight with a low around 53. For your Thursday, mostly cloudy with a high near 56, and on Friday a 30% chance of showers afternoon with a high near 47.
Legendary Bob Dylan coming to the Ozarks. The one and only Bob Dylan live on his Rough and Rowdy Ways tour. That'll be Juanita K. Performing Arts. Friday, March 28th. You can register to win a pair of tickets to the show when you visit KSGF.com today. We ought to also, do we know how many pairs we have for that?
No, not off the top
Let's
of my head.
ask Houston if we have multiple pair, then we should have a on-site registration at happy hour for that
yeah,
also.
yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
so let's find. I know we almost always have multiple pair, and I'm sure when I approved it, he told me or someone told me I'm like, yeah, that's fine. We'll give the tickets away. It's no problem at all. Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line. Hopefully some of the congressmen will be ashamed they approved the funding of, or what they approved the funding of, and voted for the nonsense that's being revealed. So it really is going to, for the Americans who really do care and want to know what's going on, there is going to be some, I believe, better understanding as to how much of this works. They depending on the situation at hand, they want to have it always, okay? So on one hand, they love to point out, when it benefits them, hey, we're Congress, we control the purse strings. We're the ones who fund stuff. And that is true. What happens, though, is there will be, Congress will say, okay, we're going to, we'll put this much money towards U.S. aid. But Congress, unless there is earmarking situation that goes on, they don't decide exactly where it goes from there. Now, that doesn't mean they can't pick up the phone and talk to their buddy in the Treasury Department or, or somebody somewhere with their connection and say, hey, I need $30 million to go to this over here of U.S. aid dollars, okay? But none of that's official. It's not like an official vote. The benefit of those who, especially the corrupt individuals in Congress, is that they can do that. They can spread your money around in order to repay favors or to buy future favors, particularly when it comes to re-election purposes, without their fingerprints being on it. Because, it isn't an itemized spending. Now, who makes these decisions? Well, largely, ultimately, the payments and things get approved by unelected people. This is part of the reason it's so hilarious that and dishonest that they run around saying Elon Musk, he's not elected, he's not elected, he's not elected. Well, neither are the people who determine ultimately where all of this money goes. They're not elected individuals. One of the bits of information that was released over the weekend was that these people have been told, when it comes to approval, never deny a request. If somebody wants it, then you approve it. Now, that suggests to me that there's a lot of inside baseball here. This is almost like a private club in the back where only the people who really know how to get it know how to get in. And so when you're saying anybody who asks for it, they get it. Just approve it. Do not disapprove it. That there's a certain way, perhaps, that you ask for it, and because otherwise it would just be, way too out of control. I mean, you'd have everybody at the feeding trough. But if it's just certain people, certain organizations who know how to get it, then you're a little safer saying, hey, listen, don't turn down any request. But ultimately, when we hear that, who are the people that are saying this? Who is it that's directing them? Do not turn out any request. Who are the individuals that aren't turning down any request? Those are unelected people. The difference between them and Musk, is that, and they keep talking about, well, Musk is stealing tax dollars. No, he's doing the opposite. He's saying stop stealing the taxpayer dollars, if you want to look at it that way. Now, these are, there is so little actual control over this stuff. It's part of the reason that we are in the position that we're in today, that the money just flows to all of the people that are on the inside anytime they want it. It's like these little secret credit cards that they get, and there's no accountability whatsoever. And they know, as Elon Musk noted in the one revealing weekend post, that they know that they're going to get everything that they ask for. These are all insiders. They're all using our money. And USAID is just one of many entities that acts as this giant slush fund, essentially, that gets approved by Congress, the dollar amount. And then, of course, all of the elite people in the club get to hand over fist, take that money out, and they have hidden it. This is why they're so upset. They act like, for the very first time ever, somebody's been given access to this information. Well, obviously, someone has been given access to this information. You have to, someone has to know who, have the magic key, right? It's unless it's controlled by AI, there must be someone who knows how much is in there at any given time or how much they're allotted. There's got to be someone. It's just they don't want you to know who it is. That way, nobody is held accountable. And so while there's what we would like to see is, this person, voted to send these dollars over here through USA. That's not the way it works. And it's deliberate that way because then their fingerprints aren't on it. Now, you can oftentimes use common sense based off of relationships and perhaps where these different institutions are based, whose congressional district they're in. While that's not always a dead giveaway, it is oftentimes, if you know how to look, you can figure out why it is that they got these dollars and who helped them get these dollars. Some of it is the revelation of what's going on, but a lot of what's going on, they're afraid that one of the tools that they have long been able to use in order to retain their power and to pay back people and entities and institutions that help them keep that power, that is a mechanism that they may no longer be able to use. This little secret undercover way of using your tax dollars to buy power by spreading your money around, that Elon Musk may break that thing to where they're not able to use it any longer. Now, Lord knows, there are probably countless other mechanisms that in time have been put over place that allow them to do the same thing. But it's like this is sort of the code breaker, perhaps, where, this is how they do it. Okay, now we're seeing, well, let's take a look over here. Now that we know what they're doing and how it is that they're funneling our tax dollars to these different groups and organizations and people and causes and so forth, now we know what to look for. There's a lot of panic going on, and this is all good. I'm telling you, the more panicked they get, the better it is for the American people, because that is the closer we are understanding and getting a glimpse of what they have been doing to us, not for us, but to us. Traffic is holding by, but I did want to, with their appreciated patience, read a text message. I'm pretty sure USAID is funded independently by the U.S. Treasury. I don't think it goes through the appropriations process. Well, and that's a point. And, of course, you've got there's so many different tentacles on this octopus. And this is why the Democrats have gotten angry rioters whipped into a frenzy, and there were hundreds, maybe thousands of them protesting outside the Treasury Department last night because of this very thing. But the ultimate purpose, and here's the ultimate point. No one, you and I, we have no representation when it comes to how most of our tax dollars are used. Remember that concept, no taxation without representation? It is increasingly clear the vast majority of how our tax dollars are used specifically, we have no one that represents us that has any hand in that. We can't vote out these nameless, faceless people at the Treasury Department. In fact, just even revealing, there's a piece I'll share with you, I think it's in the Federalist, about one of the members of Congress who's been trying to get this information for some time now as a member of Congress. The purse strings, and just been stonewalled. They just refuse to do it. So whether it's, in the case with USAID, and I'm sure other different entities as well, but whether it's the Treasury Department or the State Department or whatever department it is, the fact that there isn't a person that we can identify that is deciding where our tax dollars go, that is the antithesis of what our system is supposed to be about. And, of course, the irony of it is the Democrats are claiming that Elon Musk is this out-of-control, unaccountable, unelected official who's trying to steal your tax dollars. He's the one who is actively right now, at the behest of the President of the United States, exposing the people who are actually doing that. As usual, the left is projecting. A traffic update, I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see showers in the morning and then cloudy skies with a high near 55. As we move into the evening, we'll see more rain and patchy fog with a low around 53. For your Thursday, we'll start off cloudy and end the day with sunny skies with a high around 56. And looking ahead to Friday, more rain in the forecast with a high near 47.
We're going to get later on, talk about some of this panic, particularly, it's clearly establishment, but Democrats right now in particular, when it comes to the exposure of how it is that our tax dollars are being allocated by people that we in no way, shape, or form have any way to control or vote in or vote out, including, is there, like I mentioned, there was a piece in, I think it was the Federalist specifically, covering the attempts prior to Trump, getting in there and finding where these dollars have gone, and these different departments and divisions that just refuse to comply. And frankly, it's because they haven't had to. Their attitude is, I'm going to be here when you're gone. And or you'll just eventually give up because I'll just stonewall you. There's no accountability. But I want to talk a little bit now about, and air some audio of the first foreign leader during Trump's second administration that came to the White House, and it was Benjamin Netanyahu, which, mark this as today's Trump is the worst Hitler ever segment, because, as you know, Trump is Hitler, yet he is the worst Hitler ever. And yesterday, there were actually a couple of different exchanges with the media. I was thinking to myself, I wonder how long it will take for Trump to exceed the amount of question and answer time he does with the media that Biden had in his whole first 4 years. I suspect it won't take long. I mean, the guy just takes every opportunity to allow the press to ask him questions. There was a more formal statement from both Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu that took place yesterday with Q&A from the media. Prior to that, there was sort of this sit down in the White House, and they took questions during that period of time as well. I want to play audio of the evening press conference with the prepared arguments or the prepared statements made from Netanyahu and Trump. What I want to play is a portion of the statement made by Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, he spoke for about 7 minutes, and a portion of that was, as Israelis, this is what we've been doing, and this is what we're going to continue to do in order to try to get towards peace in the Middle East, specifically dealing with Gaza. And ultimately what his position has been, there's only one way to do it, and that is to completely defeat Hamas. No more of this back and forth, tit for tat. They must be destroyed completely. And his argument on that, which he noted is an approach that Donald Trump takes, is that we've tried it the other way over and over and over again for years and years and years and years and years, and it does not work. They always just come back and slaughter as many Jews as possible. So we have to try something different, and that is just to eliminate Hamas, just the terrorist organizations. That has to be done. Prior to his breakdown of that, he spoke about Trump himself and the relationship of Trump with the Jewish people of Israel. And again, this is a demonstration of what happens when you have Hitler as president.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm honored that you invited me to be the first foreign leader to visit the White House in your second term. This is a testament to your friendship and support for the Jewish state and the Jewish people. I've said this before. I'll say it again. You are the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. That's why the people of Israel have such enormous respect for you. In your first term, you recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. You moved the American embassy there. You recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. You withdrew from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. I remember we spoke about it. You said, this is the worst deal I've ever seen. I'm elected. I'm walking out of it. That's exactly what you did. And I think it speaks loudly for just common sense, just looking at things and seeing them as they are. And of course, you also brokered the groundbreaking Abraham Accords in which Israel made peace with 4 Arab states. We did this in 4 months. Nothing happened for a quarter of a century, but in 4 months, we were able, working together under your leadership, to have 4 historic peace accords. And now in the first days of your second term, you picked up right where you left off. Your leadership helped bring our hostages home, among them American citizens. You freed up munitions that have been withheld from Israel. They had been withheld from Israel in the midst of a 7-front war for our existence. And you just freed it. You ended unjust sanctions against law-abiding Israeli citizens. You boldly confronted the scourge of anti-Semitism. You stopped funding, as you just said, international organizations like UNRWA that support and fund terrorists. And today, you renewed the maximum pressure campaign against Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, all this in just 2 weeks. Can we imagine where we'll be in 4 years? I can. I know you can, Mr. President.
I listened to that and I watched this last night play out. And again, Benjamin Netanyahu listing the specific meaningful steps that Trump has taken to demonstrate that he is the most pro-Jewish and pro-Israel president that the world has ever seen. And then you see people on the left posting on social media still videos of Elon Musk saying, "My heart belongs to you," putting his hand over his heart and throwing it out to the audience, and claiming that, look, he's Hitler. He's Hitler. He's a Nazi. Like, what matters to you? It's just, it is a profound display of either willful ignorance or at least willfully cutting oneself off from what's actually going on in the world so that they don't see the truth. Here you have the president of the only Jewish state in the world, not just labeling Donald Trump as the most pro-Israel, pro-Jewish president we've ever had, but listing all of the things that he has actually done for the Jewish people of Israel. But we're going to argue over whether or not a video of Elon Musk proves that really Trump is Hitler because he picked a secret Nazi in order to go through and figure out a way to make government more efficient and save taxpayer dollars. Really? What do you think the people who are victims of October 7th think? Or the Palestinians who have applied for and gotten work permits to leave Gaza daily, to come into Israel so that they could work in a peaceful environment? Or the LGBT community within within Gaza that has fled to Israel for their own safety? All of these different people, what do you think matters to them? The things that Donald Trump has done, the Abraham Peace Accords, the whole list of things that Netanyahu spent 2 minutes listing off there, or that Elon Musk, who is a physically awkward guy, put his hand over his heart and then threw it out to the audience saying, "My heart belongs to you," and that looks like I mean, come on, people. Be serious. You are not even comprehending what are serious problems in this world. If that is what you are determining, it's just, I mean, everyone has if you are not a liberal, you believe everyone has the right to free speech and to have their own thoughts and to share their own thoughts. Elon Musk is one of those individuals. Here, the guy, particularly on X, that they call a Nazi, is the reason that they're allowed on X to call him a Nazi. Because he believes in free speech. And you look at the real life impact, the real things that Trump has done, and standing there, it is insulting to the human intelligence to listen to people like Trump's anti-Semitic. Oh, really? All right, well, here's Netanyahu's argument as to why he not only isn't a Nazi, but is the best friend that the Jewish people have ever had in the form of a U.S. president. So let's hear your solid, meaningful argument that actually Trump is Hitler. And then we'll put them side by side. So far, what they have is a video of Elon Musk. Pyramid Roofing Company, talk and text line 447 KSGF. Walter, hold on. We'll get to you in a moment. I'm Nick Reed. Pyramid Roofing Company, talk and text line. Let's go to Walter. Walter, welcome to the show.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about the ignorance on display in Democratic women. There's a person, AOC, the all-out commie. The other day she commented that one thing's for sure, we defeated the Confederates and we defeated the Nazis. Does she realize that almost all the Confederates were Democrats? Almost every single one of them were Democrats?
Well,
and does she also realize that the Nazis that we defeated, they were planning their master race and their society? And one of their people said, hey, the Democrats in America have already done it. Here's how you determine your enemy. If one drop of African-American blood was in a person, they were black, according to the Democratic Party. The Nazis said, no, we can't do that. That's too racist. The Nazis, when they were first starting their society, thought that the Democrats were so racist they couldn't follow them.
Well, I tell you what, more of a potential connection here, and that is, conveniently, the term Nazi doesn't break down the actual translation of what that party was, and it was the German Workers' Socialist Party. That was the Nazi Party. And you notice these people, the self-identified democratic socialists like Bernie Sanders, or all of these other Democrats that talk about the great virtues of socialism, they don't ever love to point out, the Nazis, they were actually socialists. They love to just sort of wash over that, as you can imagine, because like most forms of tyrannical government that they support, they always claim, well, the right people just haven't been in charge yet. That's why it hasn't worked. But their ideological philosophies for running government and societies somehow have this amazing ability to attract the worst kind of people in order to want to be in charge, if you notice this. I mean, they haven't found a single really great one yet. There are always these really, really awful bad people like Hitler. But, one of these days they'll stumble upon the right socialist. At least that's what they continue to hope. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Walter. I'm Nick Reed. Some people may think this is overly broad assertion, but when you see the reality of what it is that Trump has done that has been beneficial to not just the Jewish people of Israel, but here in the United States, particularly when it comes to Jewish students on campus, when you see that, if you still claim that Trump is a Nazi, that Trump is anti-Semitic, then you don't really care about anti-Semitism. You don't really care about anything that Jewish people go through. Because if you did, then you would support these outcomes. Your hatred for Trump would take a back seat to what has been successful efforts in order to give greater protection and defense of the Jewish people in the United States and Israel. News in 60 seconds. I'm Nick Reed. Springfield's Talk 104.1. My name is Nick Reed. We got Happy Hour, Retro Metro coming up this Friday, 4 to 6. And a little cooler yesterday, a little rain this morning, but we are getting that tease of what will be here eventually, and that is that spring weather, the get out there weather. And you know how it is when it very first starts getting nice. I mean, you get antsy, you want to get out there. And that's when a lot of you are going to get those RVs out and think, oh, I need to get this thing prepped. And then you're going to, if you're smart, you're going to have, the full once over. You do this annually. Wilder RV, if that's not your go-to place, I recommend that it is. They've got different packages to make sure that you're fully taken care of. These are people that have worked there for a very, very, very long time. There are a lot of places, and they get a rotation of people, and we understand how it is when it comes to hiring and staffing. It's difficult to keep good people. The people at Wilder RV have been there for a very, very, very long time. It's a good place to work. They treat their employees well. That trickles down to you, the consumer. And these are people who, again, they are experts in the field. So your RV is going to be taken care of better than just about anywhere else that you're going to be able to take it. I recommend that you make that get ready for spring appointment now. Because once it starts really getting, spring weather and you're going to, hey, we're going to take it out this week and we're excited about it, but we got that little bit of a leak on the roof up there and it looks like it may rain this weekend. Oh, but it's 3 weeks in order to get that taken care of because everybody's trying to book that appointment. So do it now. Wilder RV, Clint, Missouri, and of course for all of your brand new RV purchase needs. When Netanyahu held the more formal press conference yesterday with Donald Trump, and he spent a couple of minutes just listing all of the actual things that Trump did that demonstrate he is the most pro-Jewish president that we've ever had. When you think back, you may recall Joe Biden claimed that he was as well. That there's never been a president that has the back of Israel like I do, Joe Biden would say. But if you notice, they never gave examples. They never said, and here's the evidence. And you certainly never heard evidence from the people of Israel that backed up Biden's assertion that he was the greatest Jewish loving president that we've ever had. But when it comes to Trump, that's all it is. He did this, he did this, he did this, he did this, he did this. And Netanyahu had mentioned that in 4 months during his previous administration, he was able to do what no one was able to do in a quarter of a century, and that is the Abraham Accords. 4 months. And then he listed off all of the things that he's done in just the 2 weeks since he's been president that time and chuckled, saying, can you imagine what it's going to look like after 4 years? And it was at that moment I think for the first time got a glimpse into why it is that Donald Trump is what so many people perceive as so arrogant. I mean, you imagine, I'm just sitting there listening to these things, and I'm like, that is just one issue. One issue, Israel. And all of these things that have been accomplished for the best, positive, meaningful thing, not signing some sort of symbolic thing to demonstrate that we're friends in this forever, but real meaningful things. And that's just in dealing with Israel in 2 weeks. Not to mention all the other things he's been doing with Mexico, with Canada, with China, our border, obviously, a lot of it, these executive orders, the hundreds of billions of dollars that have already been committed by investors into the United States, all saying it's for one reason, and it's because of Donald Trump. The amount of wasteful and hidden spending that is being found at the direction of Donald Trump. And I'm thinking to myself, no wonder this guy has the attitude that he has. I don't want to say have never known. I've never even observed any person that has managed to do so many things that are groundbreakingly meaningful in such a short period of time. And I'm not overstating that fact. Within 2 weeks, any one of the things that Trump has done, be it Doge, be it get Mexico to agree to 10,000 troops on the border, again, with the whole entire listing of things that Netanyahu listed off, just within 2 weeks, any one of those things are the sort of things that a entire term for any presidency would see as, oh, that's going to be my marker, that one thing. Like, that is what will define my 4 years. And Trump doing a handful of them in 2 weeks. The horrific nuclear deal with Iran that helped accelerate their efforts to become nuclear was something that happened because the Obama people were desperate for him to have something that could be pointed to as his legacy, because he didn't have anything in terms of foreign policy. Benghazi was a disaster. ISIS got out of control. There wasn't really any meaningful movement in terms of what was going on in Iraq or Afghanistan. I mean, so there wasn't anything. And every president, they want to walk away and have some form of a legacy. And Obama had nothing that was positive. Anything foreign policy was a bit of a black eye or an embarrassment. So they just were, and Iran knew this, which is why they took advantage of the situation and came up with this horrible, awful deal, and that would be this Iranian deal. And so you look at here, Obama, 8 years in the White House, had to scramble just to get something symbolic that was devastating to national security in the Iranian deal. And Trump has just within 2 weeks done things that are more meaningful in terms of foreign policy while juggling 80 other things. Trump must look at past presidents and just think, what do they just sit around doing nothing all day? When you look at the actual results that he produces versus past presidents have produced. Springfield's Talk 1041. Let's get the latest news update.
In the first alert forecast from Cullerton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see showers in the morning and then cloudy skies with a high near 55. As we move into the evening, we'll see more rain and patchy fog with a low around 53. For your Thursday, we'll start off cloudy and end the day with sunny skies and a high around 56. And looking ahead to Friday, more rain in the forecast with a high near 47.
I want a great homeloan.com. If you need a home loan, there are a lot of places you can get one. If you want a great home loan, you want the characters in their team, maybe you go through whatever bank it is that you've banked at forever, your financial institution. I recommend that you get a second look at it, and that would be at iwantagreathomeloan.com. Let them have a second look at it. It's not going to cost you anything. The only thing it's going to cost you is the lack of knowing what it is that they can do for you, because you will learn that, and you may find that they're able to find some sort of better deal for you. See, the thing is with them, this is what they do all of the time, nonstop, fully focused. It's not a division of a bunch of other things that they do, which is oftentimes the case. This is their thing, all right? And so with that focus comes a lot of knowledge that oftentimes isn't offered up when you get to the sort of what would be the big box version store of home loans. And you may find, though, that, oh, no, I'm getting the same, really great deal as well now that I've compared and contrasted with my hometown bank. And then at least you're not out anything. But I definitely recommend second look and see what they can offer you, refinancing home loans and reverse mortgages as well. I want a great homeloan.com, because you do. The New York Post reporting that Hamas tortured and executed terrorists within its ranks who allegedly had gay sex. But this shocking documents show. This is not shocking. This is Hamas. These are the people who run Gaza. This is what they do. This is why the people within the LGBT community who live in Gaza or who have lived in Gaza fled to Israel for safe haven, where they're allowed to have parades to celebrate their diversity. Meanwhile, you have left-wing activists that run around like a bunch of idiots in this country. Queers for Hamas. Do you have any clue what you are talking about? They kill people like you. They torture people like you. The way that they execute people in the LGBT community or what was Gaza, of course. I mean, it's still Gaza, but prior to all of this, the way they treat these people is they throw them off buildings so that everyone sees this is what happens to you if you're gay, or if you're trans, or if you're a lesbian. They publicly execute their own military people if they're even suspected of it, publicly, to send a message. All of you left-wing activists out there that paint the Israelis as the aggressors and all of this stuff, do you not understand whose side you're on? You're on the side of people who throw you off the tops of buildings, in front of family, in front of friends, in front of neighbors. The Post reporting that Hamas tortured and executed terrorists within its own ranks who allegedly had gay sex, shocking documents show. As sources added, some male Israeli victims of the October 7th massacre were raped in capacity. The Iranian proxy terror group had a running list of recruits who were found to have failed Hamas's morality checks by having same-sex relations, and they heavily paid the price, according to documents recovered by the Israeli Defense Forces and shared with the Post. The documents revealed that the, quote, crimes that were allegedly committed by 94 Hamas recruits, lumping together homosexual conversations, flirting with girls without a legal relationship, and sodomy, in with serious allegations of child rape and torture. So in other words, if you just as a guy flirted with another guy, you were seen no different than a child rapist, and you were executed for it. This is what they think of you. Hamas's opposition to homosexual activity based in fundamentalist Islam evidently did not extend to the rape of male Israeli victims of terror. Israeli investigators found that Hamas had raped not only Israeli women, but Israeli men as well during the October 7th attack. Israel, it should be noted, is the only country in the Middle East that is safe for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender individuals. Palestinians who identify with one of those categories often find their only refuge is in Israel, the country that people on the left here in the United States say should be destroyed. That way, the LGBT community has no safe haven whatsoever. One of the things, going back to yesterday, and this is going to get so much buzz today, and it has to do with Donald Trump talking about the U.S., quote, owning Gaza. I want to play for you a segment of what he said, and then I want to talk a little bit about it. Here he is yesterday on the issue.
We'll take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
Right now, the end of what he said there is absolutely true. That is, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's not going to change. And so something has to change drastically. The verbiage that will own this is being pounced upon as imperialism, and you get a lot of the traditional freak out over the whole thing. Now, Trump speaks in a way that allows for people who want to cherry pick certain comments in order to paint an extreme version of what it is that he's talking about, and it allows that to happen. He's different than most career politicians, where everything is extremely scripted. Everything, well, we can't say it this way because of this and that. He treats the American people and the world at large like it's a boardroom where they're sitting around discussing things. And if somebody has, like, well, now, wait a minute, you said this, what do you mean? That's three. If somebody thinks, well, that doesn't sound right, they ask the question, well, what do you mean by this? And he's like, well, here's what I actually mean. And so because he is that way, it allows for things to be taken out of context or to be presented as, well, this is the official, actual policy of the administration. Some may argue, well, you're president of the United States, and so you should understand that you're going to have political enemies that try to do that, and you should then in kind respond by watching single thing that you say and not having conversations in such a casual manner in terms of your verbiage and so forth. That's an argument some people would make. I don't think Trump really has, in his mind, I don't have time to deal with that sort of thing. I'm just going to give you my thoughts, and I'm going to talk about these things, and if you have questions, then I'll articulate, fine. Let's be adults about this. Now, when I hear Trump, he's like, hey, we're going to own this thing. My interpretation, and I could be wrong about this, is he's saying we are going to take responsibility that along with Israel, we cannot let Hamas, that is out of the question. So that means somebody has to be involved here. Because allowing Hamas to come in and to have autonomy and to set things up once again, we're going to be exactly where we have been over and over and over again. It's going to be the terrorist version of Groundhog Day, so that's not an option. So what he is announcing here is that he believes that and I think that there's truth to this, regardless of who's responsible, that the only way that you're going to get away from that is to create an environment in which the people are like, hey, this is actually much better. And his version of that is having beautiful homes, beautiful neighborhoods, basically for it to look like Israel. A modern world in which people's quality of life is lifted above the vast majority of other people in the region. It'll be the sort of environment which people don't want it messed with. They certainly don't want it to go back to the way that it was. Hamas isn't going to do it, so who does it? I believe Trump yesterday expressing that his calculation is that the United States is going to have a hand in this. This is one of the things that we are going to have a hand in. To what degree, we don't know. But Trump is one who believes, listen, if we're going to have a hand in this, we're going to direct it, then we own it. We own the results of it. That's how I heard him talking about it. I didn't hear it as, oh, we're going to buy this land and that we are going to now be the overlords of it. Now, could he have meant that? I suppose maybe he could. Here is the real problem, is that we have, outside of, these few exceptions, crafted this environment in which we aren't even able to have these conversations. Because everyone immediately stakes their post in, this is exactly what he meant, and I'm going to scream as loud as I can about how bad it was. I mean, I've already, the quotes from these, that's just the most insane, crazy thing. It's like, just stop it. Maybe it is a bad idea. Sometimes we don't really know until it's done, and then you look at the outcome, and you're like, that was a bad idea. Iraq, to a lot of people, seemed like a really good idea at one point. In fact, with virtually every Democrat voted to support going into Iraq. Russ Feingold, the only U.S. senator that was a Democrat that was against it. He was a liberal from Wisconsin. Afterwards, though, that didn't really seem to turn out so well. So all of a sudden, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Some of it just depends on the decisions that are made through the process. But these are the conversations we should be having. What does this look like? Okay, Trump makes this announcement. I think we need more information. I think that's what mature people say. What does this look like? How much of this do we know? Is this some new arrangement that was just discussed with Netanyahu? Is this a commitment that has been made, but we have yet to see exactly what it looks like? Mature people who really, truly do want decisions to be made based off of real things and for real reasons, stop and try to figure out, okay, what is this? What are we talking about? They don't just immediately start screaming about this is the worst idea ever, or on the flip side, this is the best idea ever. I would note, for the people on the left who love to claim Trump is just, it's like a cult. Trump thought they'll just do anything he says. That the people who are having and will be having the most intellectual discussions and conversations about whether this is a good idea or not are going to be Trump supporters. Trump has very consistently been opposed to what we call nation building, and there are going to be a lot of discussions about this. Sounds a lot like nation building, is it not? I think it's also reasonable to say, nation building isn't something that we should do in most circumstances, but part of the reason nation building has often turned out to be such a disaster is because of the people who were in charge of it before, and Trump does have this ability to do things properly and effectively that no other president has been able to do. So maybe if we ever were looking to dabble in nation building, is it possible? Maybe Trump is the one guy who can pull it off. I'm not arguing that is the case. I'm saying these are all very valid discussion points to be had. And it is a real detriment and disservice to all of us, particularly people who would like to see peace in the Middle East, who would like to just see things go nicely, to not have these discussions and instead to start screaming imperialism and nation building and, Trump he's trying to just buy up the world. He's just like a dictator, instead of really talking about what does this look like and what does this mean? And it could be the sort of thing that oftentimes is the case with Trump, in which he throws something out there and we actually don't end up being that involved in it after all. That's not uncommon with Trump also, to say, well, maybe we'll do this. And then it turns out, see, this is another thing about Trump. He is able to pivot when he recognizes actually that's not going to work out. This is one of the reasons that I like Donald Trump. I think that he is a positive in terms of a leader. He doesn't just okay, this is the way we're going to do it, and then when it doesn't work, let's keep doing it over and over and over again. If he says, hey, I think we ought to do this, and then as time goes on realizes, actually, you know what, that was a miscalculation. He says we're not going to do that. It's one of the reasons that he, in the long term, succeeds, because he actually learns from what doesn't work, which is one of the reasons that he is a square peg in the round hole of government. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. KSGF.com, legendary Bob Dylan coming to the Ozarks. You can catch the one and only Bob Dylan live on his Rough and Rowdy Ways tour, Juanita K. Hammonds Hall for Performing Arts, Friday, March 28th. Also, while you're there, if you're a teacher, you know a teacher, you're an administrator, you work in a school, we've got the Godfather's Teachers Lounge Pizza Party you can register for, right? There's always pizza party for the kids. They're the ones that always get the pizza party. And then sometimes you get these radio stations. They're like, your kid can win a pizza party for his class. And then, oh, that's all fun and everything. But you're the one that actually has to be responsible for the, 20-some screaming kids and the pizza and the cleanup. You're like, gee, well, that was fun. So this is for you. It's a teacher's lounge pizza party. So, again, whether you're a teacher, or you're a principal, a counselor, whatever your capacity is in the school, or you just want to nominate your kid's school or your husband or wife where they work, whatever, go to ksgf.com and get registered for the Godfather's Pizza Teacher's Lounge Pizza Party.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see showers in the morning and then cloudy skies with a high near 55. As we move into the evening, we'll see more rain and patchy fog with a low around 53. For your Thursday, we'll start off cloudy and end the day with sunny skies and a high around 56. And looking ahead to Friday, more rain in the forecast with a high near 47.
It isn't quite spring yet, but I wanted to grab this because it is going to be springtime soon, and I thought this was a really great review of Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. Emily sold our house for us this spring. She arrived at the very first appointment on time with documentation and recommended pricing and a marketing plan ready to go. It was as easy as pulling the trigger. We had a good offer the first day, and she continued to navigate us through the rest of the process. She had people who fixed the items their inspector found, and to my surprise, were principled enough to advise the inspector that he was wrong on a couple of things. Emily could not be more personable or easy to talk to. See, you may have in the past had a realtor that was like, oh, here you go, you found it all right. Well, I'll see you for the signing. But this is the whole process you get with Emily Johnson to guide you through it, and that's the sort of response you hear from people who utilize her services. All of your home buying needs, home selling needs, Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. A couple of different, I love media, just headlines. They're so indicative of what motivates media to write any story. And sometimes they're funny to me because just the visuals that they are meant to create in your minds, and how if you think about it, it really doesn't make any sense. So, for example, US8 employees say office scrambled to remove pride flags and incriminating books amid Doge inspection. Now, one of the things that, okay, so what do you get in your mind, right? It's like you're throwing a party at your house, and all of a sudden the parents are pulling up the long driveway, and you got 40 people in the house and beer. Like, you're scrambling around. You're scrambling. That's scrambling. Oh, my gosh. We've got to hide everything. Get out of here. Get out of here. One of the moves that the Trump administration is making that I completely agree with is that, listen, when it comes to federal buildings, the American flag. Pretty straightforward and easy. That's it. Cut out all this other stuff. It really does actually make it a little bit easy. Yeah. Well, what about this flag? Well, we ought to have that flag. Well, it's this month. Let's do that flag. And of course, let's be honest, most of the we have to have this flag put up is by the people who want to shove people's private lives down your throat, and it's the LGBTQ stuff. But it's not always that. Well, if we have this flag, what about that flag? You know what solves that? It's a federal building, so we'll have the U.S. flag. That's it. That's what's appropriate. That's what we're here for, so that's what we're going to have. Now, to me, that just, number one, it's appropriate, but it also solves the problem of, well, what about that flag? What about this flag? Well, if you have that flag, we got to have that flag. Solves all of that. But this idea that, and the way that they word it in the headline, scrambling, like they're just running around frantic. Yeah, like how, yeah. Really? How many pride flags do you have up if that's what's going on here? You know how hard this is? Oh, we got a flagpole out front. Oh, there's a pride flag. Can somebody go take that down? Is that scrambling?
I'm more curious about these incriminating books.
Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly. What are these incriminating books that you have? You hear the verbiage used all the time about, confusion. They want to portray Trump as being so disruptive that everyone is scrambling around. Everyone is confused about this order, that order, or they're concerned or worried. All right, so this is what the American people wanted. Now, I don't believe, most of this is done in order, again, to so that you infer Trump must be doing something wrong. He must be doing something wrong. Well, let me tell you what it all comes back to. This is what the American people voted for. And for the left, they love to go on and on about democracy, democracy, democracy. And Barack Obama's famous quote, elections have consequences. Yeah, this is it. So start respecting democracy, yo. What was the other? There's another headline I found. This is good. NFL fans call for Super Bowl boycott over Black national anthem as Trump's election reignites debate over divisive performance. Trump's election has nothing to do with reigniting this debate. The reason that this debate is reignited is because the Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday. That is why this debate is coming up. This is not a new debate. There are Americans, and I would argue most Americans, who do not believe that we should be promoting segregation. This is something we got rid of a long time ago because we recognize that the results were really not that positive. When you put people in different categories based off of their race and you treat them differently and you act as if, well, this is your America over here and, well, this is your America over here. This is your water fountain. This is your place on the bus. That just doesn't work out well. And most people, other than racist, just want to get along with other people. They like other people. They want to be able to get along, to have nice conversations, to, be standing in the grocery line and, oh, how are you? Oh, that's a cute little kid. How old is she? Just have these conversations, regardless of skin color. That's how most normal people, again, there are the segregationists that don't like that, but most of us do. That's what we want. So whenever you have people come along and they're like, well, this grouping of people, because of their race, they should have their own national anthem. And this group of people, normal people, don't like that. And for a lot of people, it doesn't have anything to do with whether you're patriotic or not patriotic or whether you're this color, that color. And you do have people that do care about those things, that have thoughts and opinions on separate national anthems based on skin color. But most people, it's just because we just don't, it's just like, can't we just all be Americans? Can't we all just be people? Won't you just leave us the hell alone? Let us get along with one another. But for me, the headline, of course, it's Trump's fault that this is happening. Not that this is something that's been going on for years. Not because it's a Super Bowl. It's because Trump's election. That's why this has come back up. Okay. This is Trump derangement syndrome, where everything that happens that's divisive, even if it's something that existed well before Donald Trump, it's because Donald Trump. Because if you didn't know this, if you're just starting to pay attention, before Donald Trump came along, Republicans and Democrats never disagreed. They always got along. There was never any fighting. There was never any name call. In fact, we didn't even have elections. You just had a couple of candidates, and usually one was like, you know what? You go ahead and take it. No, you take it. You deserve. Are you sure? I think you deserve it. We all got along so well until Donald Trump came along. That's when politics became divisive. Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Sarah Myers, everyone.
Thank you. The Pyramid Roofing Company, we've got lots of rain in the forecast, which means that if winter has been unkind to your roof, you may see some signs of that. Whether you have yellowing on your ceiling or just full-blown leaks, gutters that can't keep up, or maybe you just know it's time to have your roof looked at, I want to recommend Josh and his team over at the Pyramid Roofing Company. One of my favorite things about the Pyramid team is that they are not pushy. They understand that installing a new roof isn't necessarily a fun purchase, so their goal is to be upfront and honest about the work that needs to be done, and they want to make sure that process is as simple as possible. The Pyramid team, they offer free roof inspections, and they do everything from commercial roofing to residential roofing, of course, and they also work on metal roofs as well. So if it is time to have the Pyramid Roofing Company out at your home, schedule that free roof inspection with them today. You can find all of their contact information under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
One of the great things about hosting a show and not having your circle of influence be insiders and elected officials and activists is that you don't have to, like, when you have a stance that's out of step, you know, well, I better not talk about that. There are advantages, I suppose, to being part of the inside, if you will. You can have insight and information, but the problem is you begin to see things the way that they see things. I've been in that position before, to be honest with you. Not here, but elsewhere, where I thought, man, I'm on the inside here. I have all these connections. And over time, I realized, actually, it was in retrospect, that I began to see things from their perspective. And so it became essentially a show for the insiders and the elites. And I don't like that. I don't want to do that. The reason I'm just telling you this, I'm prefacing the story I'm about to share. That is, I know a lot of people, because it's like, I know some people aren't going to like to hear this, some of you aren't going to like to hear it. But then I'm like, you know what? It's not about being liked. It's to hear my thoughts on things. Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders introduce a bill to curb exploitive credit card interest rates, provide relief to working Americans. Now, these are price controls. There's no way around it. This is an attempt, using the force of government, to tell a company what prices they can charge for something. This was Kamala Harris's approach to dealing with inflation and the high cost of things, putting price controls in place. Now, there were a number of reasons that Kamala Harris lost spectacularly. But I would argue her approach to dealing with prices that she felt were too high because of the companies, that the approach was to dictate through the power of government what they can charge for their goods or services. There's a reason that Bernie Sanders is part of this. You know, Josh Hawley is somebody who serves Missouri and, frankly, the country very, very well when it comes to questioning people during hearings. But we should not mistake that for a belief that he is somebody that is about smaller and limited government, because he is quite often arm in arm with the Ocasio-Cortezes in terms of ideology and beliefs. I know she's in the House. But here, literally with Bernie Sanders in terms of joining together in order to use the power of government to put in place price controls. And his reasons for it are like, well, because they're charging these huge profits. And so he uses the verbiage and the rationale of the extreme left in this country. You cannot say a price control is horrible when Kamala Harris supports it, but then a price control is somehow good because, well, Josh Hawley points out that they make a lot of money off this. Yeah, that's called the free market system. And price controls are wrong. And listen, part of what Hawley probably is not. His big bragging point is that, well, Bernie Sanders is supporting this. He notes that, so I guess on the campaign trail, Donald Trump mentioned that this is something that needs to be done. Donald Trump is wrong on that, too. Doesn't mean Donald Trump shouldn't be president. It doesn't mean that Donald Trump is going to be a bad president. But price controls are wrong. And if we are going to accept a price control just because it has somebody with an R next to their name proposing it, then we cannot honestly say when Democrats propose it that they're fascist, that they're socialist, that they're horrible, they're wrong, and that, that they don't know what they're talking about. We've got to be honest about this stuff. And the only way that people like Josh Hawley will correct themselves and be opposed consistently to price controls if they recognize that the voters are not going to support it. Then that's on us. Because otherwise, welcome to the future of price controls. Because once Republicans start joining, like Josh Hawley is, with Bernie Sanders for price controls, though, mark my words, that's not what they'll call it. They'll change the name because that's what the left always does. They change the name of things when they recognize that they're unpopular. So there'll be some other name for it. But once Republicans start helping usher in hand with people like Bernie Sanders price controls, forget it. It's over. Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Hey, everyone. News in 60 seconds. I'm Nick Reed. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed, Bob Dylan. Coming to the Ozarks, rough and rowdy ways. Juanita K. It's going to be Friday, March 28th. You can go to KSGF.com, get registered to win a pair of tickets for that if you would like to do so. And, while you're there, you can stream the show live if you so choose to do so. And you can listen to past shows, podcast, and you can listen to podcast of Sarah's show, which is on Saturdays.
Yep,
If you miss that show every 10 a.m. right here on Springfield's Talk, check out that show.
That's right.
That's the big. That's what I got.
That's
what I got there. We have happy hour Friday 4 to 6. If you haven't done one of these, it's Retro Metro, and it's just us hanging out. Nothing really to do. Like in terms of what, nothing outside the ordinary from your normal friends. You hanging out, they're texting, hey, when you get off work, you want to meet Retro Metro, have a drink, or get something to eat. Like, yeah, that sounds good. I'll be there about 5 o'clock. So anyway, I'm explaining how it all works. These are the conversations you have, and that's how it is. So we're there 4 to 6, but obviously you don't have to come at 4 and leave at 6. In fact, if you want a great dinner, I would make a reservation there sometime around then, and get there a little early and hang out with us and have something to drink. Or it doesn't even have to be alcohol. They have an incredible wine selection, by the way. They have one of those nice glassed-in walls that's really tall, and I don't really know anything about wine, so I'm not. Do they call them connoisseurs? Is that right? A wine connoisseur?
I guess.
I don't even know.
don't know a lot about wine.
I don't know. I know I like red wine when I have wine usually. I'm not a sweet. I like it really dry, but I couldn't tell you anything about anything when it comes to wine, other than what happens if you drink a lot of it. I know about that from watching documentaries. A couple of weeks ago, maybe was it last week, there was this announcement that with the Oscar nominations, that there was a man that is in the female category for Best Actress because he pretends in real life, not just in movies, but in real life, to be a woman. The name Carla Sofia Gascon, the first openly trans actor to be nominated for an Oscar. And there was a great deal of excitement, of course, because, he edged out. There was some woman, an actual woman. And this is the left, so this is how they operate when it comes to women. You only have so many women that can be nominated, and some woman lost her slot to this man because he says, I'm a woman, and so, the actual women take a back seat to men who say that they're women. So you got that going. The left's very excited. This is wonderful. But then something really awesome and amazing happened. It turns out that this guy made a number of tweets in the past that are the sort of tweets that the left, when they're made and identified, the left demand people get canceled over. As soon as I saw, I thought this is just going to be so fun to watch, because now the left has to decide what to do, right, with this person. If you observe the way that the left behaves, you notice that they don't really care about any cause. They only care about how they can use causes in order to hurt their political opposition. So whenever something that is part of their cause, like a man pretending to be a woman, bumping an actual woman out of his slot, they celebrate that. That's awesome. But when that person begins to, or it's learned, tweeted things in the past that is something that the left has expressed outrage over in order to get people canceled, all of a sudden their worlds are colliding here. What do we do? Because on one hand, we claim that people should not have a space in our society and be rewarded and admired if they have said racist things in the past. But on the other hand, we're really promoting this thing where guys get to take the place of women if they identify as women. And that's exactly what's been going on here. I just love watching this stuff play out. There have been a couple of different stories. So, of course, first, the praise for the guy. Then comes the tweets. These are resurfacing. And then, of course, comes the apology. Now, this is usually the way out that is extended for people on the left. When there's a conflict, you're allowed to apologize, and then it makes it all okay. Like Trudeau wearing blackface. You know, if you are not a left-winger, you can wear blackface, you can use the N-word, you can say all sorts of racist things, and as long as you say, I'm really sorry, it was my white privilege, then you're good. It's sort of like a secret handshake. That's your get out of jail free. Now, if you're not somebody that the left is an ally of, then they say no apology is enough. If they say those sorts of things in public, you can imagine what they say in private. There's no place for them in our society, you know, and they just keep hammering and hammering until you're destroyed. I suspect this guy is probably going to survive it because he knows what he's supposed to do. And you see it in the stories as they unfold. So first came the nomination, then came the tweets, then transgender best actress Oscar nominee apologizes for old tweets criticizing George Floyd and Islam, among other things. In one 2020 post that was reportedly viewed and translated from Spanish by Variety magazine, Gascon shared a photo of a Muslim family in a restaurant writing, "Islam is marvelous without any machismo. Women are respected, and when they are so respected, they're left with a little square hole on their face for their eyes to be visible and their mouths, but only if she behaves. Although they dress this way for their own enjoyment, how deeply disgusting of humanity." So he's being sarcastic about, oh, how wonderful Islam is and how wonderful Muslims are. Well, hello. Uh-oh. That was not the only post from the performer slamming Islam in such a vile and disgusting racist way, as Gascon also proposed in 2020, quote, "until we ban religions that go against European values and violate human rights, such as Islam, under the protection of freedom of worship, we will not end part of this huge problem we face." Well, no, we all know what that's code for. They need to act more white, you know, European. The performer slammed other religions by name, writing in a 2021 post, "I'm so sick of so much of this blank of Islam, Christianity, Catholicism, and all the blanking beliefs of morons that violate human rights." In a post from 2020, short after the death of George Floyd, another icon of the left, literally built a statue for the guy, the performer wrote, quote, "I really think that very few people ever cared about George Floyd, a drug addict swindler. But his death has served to once again demonstrate that there are people who still consider black people to be monkeys without rights and consider policemen to be assassins. They're all wrong." More and more, the Oscars, she also said at one point, are looking like a ceremony for independent protest films. "I didn't know if I was watching an Afro-Korean festival, a Black Lives Matter demonstration, or the 8M. Apart from that, an ugly, ugly gala." This was his comments on the Oscars in 2021. Since then, Gascon appears to have ditched the X platform and apologized for the statements, telling the Hollywood Reporter in Spanish, "I'm sorry, but I can no longer allow this campaign of hate and misinformation to affect neither my family nor me anymore. So at their request, I'm closing my account on X. I want to acknowledge the conversations around my past social media post have caused hurt. As someone in a marginalized community, I know this suffering all too well, and I am deeply sorry to those I have caused pain all my life. I have fought for a better world. I believe light will always triumph over darkness." So some of the fallout, it's one person on Twitter posting, "First out trans actress to receive an Oscar nomination is a massive bigot." I just love watching because what happens is you see the reality of the hypocritical left and the worlds that they create colliding with one another and then trying to figure out how to navigate it. And in fairness to the left, they have determined how it is something like that they navigate. There's just a proper way to apologize. And if you're on the left, you can do so. If you're a white person and you have caused the offense, you just acknowledge your white privilege. And then you blame your white privilege. That's what caused it. That's your get out of jail free card. If you are a man who pretends to be a woman, then you just say, I'm a victim too. I know what this is like. And oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's your get out of jail free card. So they've created these little escape routes for themselves and on full display. Now, I just can't wait to see if a woman loses an Oscar for Best Female Actress to a man. Won't that be delicious? Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see showers in the morning and then cloudy skies with a high near 55. As we move into the evening, we'll see more rain and patchy fog with a low around 53. For your Thursday, we'll start off cloudy and end the day with sunny skies and a high around 56. And looking ahead to Friday, more rain in the forecast with a high near 47.
Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line text. Your breath stinks. Oh. Okay. Hey, wait a minute. I recognize that number. That's my wife's number.
Is that really?
Yes. That's her phone number on the text line. All righty.
I mean, she's not wrong.
You don't know. You look at the back of my head.
Yeah, which I'm very concerned for you today because the back of your head is very red. I think you're having
Well,
an
it's the back of
allergic...
my neck. I'm not.
Well, it looks like you're having an allergic reaction.
I don't
there.
know. I don't know if I am. I don't think I am.
Well, hopefully whatever's going on doesn't cause you to end the show 30 minutes early.
Yeah, well, I guess you can just play a best of you from Saturday.
That's right.
Democrats yesterday just went nuts. It is such an interesting thing to watch how these people are presenting themselves when on. It was so bad yesterday. Have you heard any of this?
I read some of the transcripts of.
Oh, okay. I
Luke.
didn't know it justice.
Yeah, okay. I figured.
It was so bad. I'm going to play after some excerpts here. CNN, they had a panel. And even the Democrats were just like, this is bad. This is in response to Trump's order, at which Elon Musk is heading up this effort in order to dig up and unveil the secrecy of how it is that our tax dollars have been used. And I talked earlier in the program, there's a number of reasons they're panicked over this. One is this is how they secretly have been able to do business for a very long time. Ways that they have been able to spend our money without being held accountable. And they don't want us to know this stuff. This is how the wheels get greased. This is essentially a version of money under the table. And Musk, at the direction of Trump, is revealing all of this stuff. And they're just, the only thing they know how to do is scream. Because they can't argue against this. Now, there's, excuse me, and you'll hear some of the comments. They keep claiming that this is a violation of the law. There's nothing about this that is against the law. If you notice, they don't say what law is being broken. They're just saying things. This is essentially a revisit of the way that they behaved after the Supreme Court noted that Roe v. Wade was not legit, and then they overturned it. Remember, they were all screaming, women were going to be dying in alleys, women were going to be dying, you're going to have 8-year-olds having babies everywhere, you're going to be denied an abortion. They were just making all of these hysterical claims that, of course, turn out not to be true. But nonetheless, that was the case. And so they're doing some of the same stuff. And they're claiming that this is Musk, like, he's going to get in there and start denying payments to your grandma from Social Security, and just they're thinking of anything and everything they can so that their supporters will regurgitate the disinformation on social media. Now, all of their scorn, ironically here, is aimed at Elon Musk, who is responsible for the fact that their supporters can use his platform to spread disinformation, because he has taken this position that he's not going to censor free speech. I'm going to play some of the audio for you. Now, these are all elected Democrats. Elected Democrats. Some are people whose names you'll recognize: Maxine Waters, Elizabeth Warren. There are some that you may not recognize. Becca Balint, she is a Democrat from Vermont. She has a very short appearance in which she just says that every movement needs her words, scrappy little dyke, and she's the one. Evidently, she's a lesbian. There are calls for people to go out into the streets, to get out there and fight. I mean, we're right back to the rhetoric that they used in order to promote the billions of dollars in damage that were done when people were killed and buildings were burned down during the Summer of Love. Police officers were assaulted. Democrats have gone right back to trying to get that going again, and that's what they're trying to do. Make no mistake about it. Here's a montage of some of those Democrats yesterday.
We are here. We are also going to make sure that we are powerful law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your asses. And we are going to make sure. We're going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like. Yes, I am. So let me tell you something, Trump. You gonna learn a few lessons from us. And I'm gonna be the first one. You and your little friend off of Twitter, y'all about to find out, all right?
Musk has grabbed control
of America's payment system. This is the system that makes sure that your grandpa gets his Social Security check on time. This is the system that makes sure that your mom's doctor gets paid for her Medicare exam. Elon Musk wants the power to turn that on, to turn that off, as Elon Musk decides.
Broken the law time and time again. This cannot stand. He must be held accountable. He must be made to pay. We must enforce the law.
Participating, you will see in the courts, in the Congress, in the streets, in the nasty.
He is a low down, dirty, no good person, along with Trump, that cannot be trusted, and we must not be afraid of them again. When the people say that you better see us, because we damn sure see you.
We will not take this. We will fight back. Shut down.
Stand with you in this fight, and we will win. We will win. We will win.
I capped off with Chuck Schumer. Now, who is it that is out there with the dangerous rhetoric?
I mean, that to me sounds like they may, just maybe, be calling for an insurrection.
I mean, just possible. Fight in the streets.
Or
We will
just
fight with, we
Peaceful protest.
take down this city. These are sitting members of Congress, Democrats. These are the people that have the audacity to claim that when Donald Trump said, when you go to the Capitol, do it peacefully, that he was inciting violence. Well, listen to their screaming, their screeching, their out of control hysterics. This evidently is part of their plan to seem normal again in this country. I mean, these are the people who claim that J.D. Vance is just weird. Meanwhile, they're out there just screaming hysterically about taking to the streets and getting out there and fighting and getting in people's faces and shutting down the city. Just last week, you have the media talking to Gretchen Whitmer. Do you have concerns about Donald Trump and the dangerous rhetoric that he's using, that it might incite violence? Are you kidding me? I mean, they're just doing everything they can without officially calling for violence to call for violence. I really believe, I'm not being serious, they are trying to get Trump assassinated again. And here's why I say, I got to take a break, and I want to explain why. And you don't have to accept it, but I'm going to tell you why it is that, to me, it seems clear that's what they're trying to do. They have realized at this point that there's nothing else they can do to him other than have him murdered. That's the only solution that in their minds they have left. That coming up. Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line is 447 KSGF. I'm Nick Reed. There's a traffic update coming, but I wanted to mention, I know talked about the happy hour, but we are going to do registration at happy hour for a couple of different things. We were waiting to get official green light on this. One, now online, if you go to ksgf.com, you can register to win tickets to see Bob Dylan live at the Rough and Rowdy Ways Tour, Juanita K. Hall for Performing Arts. We also will have a pair that we will. In fact, I guess we can just draw the winner at the end of happy hour,
Yeah.
even, right?
Yeah, that's what I planned on
Yeah,
doing.
so if you want to come by, then get yourself registered, one per person, and we will draw tickets for that. There is also, starting around that same time, another upcoming it's Willie Nelson. It's Thunder Ridge, right?
Correct.
And
Yep.
he's got a whole litany of different, I think, artists that are going to be part of that. It's called what's that? What's it called?
That's called the Outlaw Music Festival.
So the Outlaw Music Festival, and that is going to be coming up. And we will also, beginning Friday, have at ksgf.com a registration for that. We will give at Happy Hour at Retro Metro a pair of those away also, so you can come and register. And then we'll draw that at 6:00 whenever we're finished, and just there you have it. I don't know that I need to provide any more information.
No, the
about
Willie
it.
Nelson concert is going to be on June 29th.
Okay. So a couple of really great, iconic performers and performances. Of course, the Thunder Ridge, that just venue itself is a draw. I mean, Juanita
Have you
K
been
is. I have not been there
I
yet.
haven't either.
But the girl child, one of her favorite artists, whom she's already seen at the Walmart Amphitheater in Arkansas, Hosier, he's going to be performing there sometime, I think, this spring. So we're already, that's we will be attending that, I will be there whenever that performance is. I think it's in June, maybe, but have you been there yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, all right. Retro Metro, happy hour 4 to 6. You can come get signed up, and we will draw for a pair of tickets for each of those different concerts while we are there this Friday. And again, if you can't make it, don't worry. You can sign up at ksgf.com.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see showers in the morning and then cloudy skies with a high near 55. As we move into the evening, we'll start to see more rain and patchy fog with a low around 53. For your Thursday, we'll start off cloudy and end the day with sunny skies with a high around 56. And looking ahead to Friday, more rain in the forecast with a high near 47.
I played audio yesterday of the Democrats. They're really focusing on Elon Musk, and they're making it sound like one of the things Elizabeth Warren was claiming without evidence is that like he's in this super secret area that gives him the ability to stop payments to your grandpa for Social Security or to stop your mom's payments to her doctor. Like he's a mad scientist doing it. Just recognize this. What they're trying to do is make it sound like he's somewhere no one should be. Someone obviously has been in there. This is how these payments get out. This is how it's decided. They act as if this is an inner sanctum, like we're in some sort of Middle Earth style situation, and there's this mysterious cave with an inner sanctum that no one is allowed to go into because it's so sacred, and Elon Musk has broken all of the rules of humanity by going in there. I mean, what are you talking about? There have been completely we don't even know the names of these people. This is what Elon Musk is exposing. But the audio yesterday of people like Elizabeth Warren screaming about Elon Musk and he's going to stop payments to your grandma's doctor. You had Becca Balint, a Democrat from Vermont, who evidently is a lesbian. These are all elected Democrats, and she was screaming about how every movement needs a, quote, scrappy little dyke, and she's the one for the job. They have called for Elon Musk to be thrown in jail because the left, they love to put political opposition. Remember, these are the people who have claimed that Donald Trump is going to throw political opposition in prison. Standing there with Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, all elected Democrats, and they're chanting, lock him up, about Elon Musk. They are chanting to lock up political opposition while claiming that it's because he's breaking laws. They haven't identified what law. I'm not even talking about, federal title 1.8 or whatever. Just like in layman's speak, what law is it that he's breaking? It was so uncomfortable watching, particularly as some of them screamed about going into the streets, taking the fight to them, bringing the city to the ground, that after airing a montage of this is the discussion of some of the panelists on CNN. Now, it has like one Republican, but the rest, it's CNN, so they're all lefties.
Great. Right. So they need a real leader, okay? They need a real leader, which currently does not exist in the Democratic Party. And they have been caught completely flat-footed with the entire Trump presidency for the last 2 weeks. And Elon Musk, I said on CNN months ago that Elon Musk would be the most influential advisor to President Trump, and that is proving to be true, whether you like it or not. But Democrats should have had a plan for this. They knew it was coming. We say this every single night.
2025.
We knew it.
Just talked about.
We knew it. Trump has said all of these things were going to happen. We saw him align with Elon Musk, which may go down as the smartest thing that any presidential candidate has ever done, from the young vote to tech, to a million other things. So Democrats needed to have a plan, and it may be too late.
Yeah, Bakari, are you fired up after?
I'm fired up and ready to go. Can't you see it in my face?
When left-wingers that are advocates for the Democrat Party on CNN are just like, oh my gosh, they've gone off the rails. I believe they're trying to get Trump assassinated. Now, it may not be this specific, okay, guys, now remember the goal. But they know what they're doing. And here's my argument on this. See, I'll back it up. The American people are against them on this. The majority of Americans are supportive of this. As the one CNN panelist explained, Trump, he won on this. It's not like a bait and switch in which Trump told the American people he's going to do one thing, he got in, he's doing the other, and the opposite, and so Democrats are sounding the alarm. He's doing exactly what he got elected to do. The Democrats screaming from the rooftops about, the Hitler and the fascism and dictator and all that, it is, everyone knows that did not work. And in fact, it worked against them with a lot of people. They didn't win anyone over with that. So what they're doing now, no one can believe that it is somehow going to help them with voters. That's why even on CNN they're shaking their heads, because even Democrats know this is going to turn voters away. So if they are behaving in a way that everyone recognizes, including Democrats, isn't going to help them electorally, then what is their point? Why are they doing it? It doesn't hurt Trump with the voters. It doesn't help Democrats with the voters. Everyone knows this. Democrats know it. So what purpose would there be for screaming into the microphones, for telling people to go out into the streets, for saying that we will get these people? What could possibly be the motivating factor? Other than trying to get yet another supporter to go out and take a shot at Trump, I don't know of any other reason. I mean, I'm more than willing and open to entertain intellectually any other motivating factors here, but I can't think of any. They recognize that their rhetoric, while the majority of Americans were opposed to it, there were one or two people out there that heard it and got activated by it. And both of those individuals got shots off, one actually hitting Donald Trump. Coming within, we all know how close to assassinating him. That's the calculation that they're making at this time. There's no other logical explanation, because there's no other logical outcome that would be a benefit to the Democrats in their minds, to get Donald Trump to lose so that he's not doing this stuff. Clearly trying to throw him in jail did not work. Trying to convince the American people that he shouldn't be president did not work. Trying to throw him off the ballot did not work. Trying to keep him off the campaign trail by keeping him tied up in court did not work. Getting a mugshot of him did not work. Getting having the ability to officially call him a felon did not work. Nothing they have tried, nothing they have been able to stop him. The closest they came was that field and that rally when some lunatic almost took his life. And then there was that second attempt just weeks later. And so that's that. They see that. They know that. And even if you want to believe, I can't imagine that they would be doing that. Even though I can't think of any other motivating factor, I just can't believe it. You can't deny they understand the implications. While there are people, we've seen it twice now, people get that close to taking out Trump, we can't pretend that collectively all of them trying to stir up a crowd of people, screaming hysterically into the microphone about this stuff, falsely claiming that Trump is just this wild man that is lawlessly running around and he's going to make sure that your mother's doctor doesn't get paid and that your grandfather isn't going to be able to feed himself because he's going to cut off his Social Security. No reasonable person can believe that, given what we have seen in terms of reactions to this rhetoric before, that Elizabeth Warren, that Chuck Schumer, that all of these other members of Congress on the Democrat aisle, that it just never crossed their mind that they may get yet another one of their supporters to try to kill Trump. They know what they're doing. In fact, and it's not just Trump. There's been increasing, because of the rhetoric against immigration enforcement, increasing death threats against members of law enforcement in ICE. You know, the Democrats who portray themselves, oh, no, we love law enforcement. Oh, yes, we love law enforcement. It's Trump supporters that tried to kill law enforcement on January 6th. They don't seem too keen on supporting law enforcement now that their supporters are threatening to murder ICE agents. You know, out in Los Angeles, you have these rioters, by the way, with non-American flags, blocking traffic. Karen Bass telling law enforcement, don't go around arresting these people. And there was, media has been, local media out in Los Angeles has been covering this. I mean, they're full-blown riots. So every time Democrats don't get their way, what happens? Their people riot in the streets. And you can understand why when you listen to the Democrats encouraging them to do it. One identified man said, for La Raza, for the race. This is why he's out there rioting in Los Angeles. People have been working hard. They've been doing their thing out in this country, LA specifically, and just to get thrown out, come on, man. Like, it's like going back to Auschwitz. Gee, now where would they get the Nazi connection reference? Where has that rhetoric come from? They know what they're doing. I want to read this text message on the text line. Dems are, I believe, setting up the situation to have chaos so that Trump will call for military National Guard to prove that he will use the military force against his opponents. And I think there's a couple of different motivating factors here. One, I believe, logic indicates it is to have another one of their supporters try to kill Trump. But to this person's point, that is what they want to happen with these riots. They want the imagery. And this is why, see, you get people like Karen Bass telling, do not arrest these people. They want it to get so out of control so that Trump has to step in, because they want, just like that person recognized who texted in, they want the military, the National Guard, whatever capacity, somebody that is there because of an order from the executive branch to get involved in some sort of life or death situation, and fingers crossed for them, kill someone that is just in this country trying to live a better life. That way they can point to Trump and say, look, he's using the military against people. This is how they respond when democracy does not go their way. Riots in the streets, calls for violence, and utilizing rhetoric that they recognize has had a hand in the past of motivating people to try and assassinate Donald Trump. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. Jen Psaki declares a hostile takeover of U.S. government. Hilarious MSNBC takedown. See, when democracy doesn't go their way, it's a takeover, a hostile takeover. These are the people who claim that they are the protectors of democracy, unless it doesn't go their way, see. Democracy to them means you comply and leave them in power. If not, it's a takeover. If not, it's a crisis. If not, it is people that are acting criminally and they're trying to be dictators. Democracy to them means do what we say. We'll let you go and cast a ballot. You just had better cast it for us. 50501 protest. I'm not exactly sure verbally how it is that they list this, but these are left-wing activists that are planning across state capitals to protest because they reject, democracy, at least the outcome. The 50501 movement, or 50 states, 50 protests, 1 days, garnering support throughout social media over its plan to stage demonstrations across the nation to fight fascism on February 5th. Did you realize that? See, this is the very first. Here again, Trump's the worst Hitler ever, and now we're seeing the worst fascist ever. Because instead of making government bigger and making government more powerful and taking more of your money and getting rid of transparency, he's doing the opposite. He's working on scaling it down. He's working on transparency, and he's working on making sure that the American people have known what has been going on in secret all these years. So he's just as bad at being Hitler as he is at being a fascist, at least in the first 2 weeks of his presidency. While Democrats are rioting in the streets and trying to help people in this country illegally, particularly murderers and rapists, here's some winning news. Army recruiting shatters record after President Trump election win. The U.S. Army recently announced it shattered previous recruiting records, with December 2024 being the most productive December in 15 years. That, again, is what we call winning. Glenn Beck's next. I'm Nick Reed.